jump for joy like this pitcher today. The Windup Newsletter Baseball, this is the Athletics MLB Newsletter. Sign up here to receive the windup directly in your inbox. I've never had that much fun watching a Mets-Guardians game. Plus, we check in on Aaron Judge's rehab, Britt Ghiroli takes on the competitive window, and we investigate evidence suggesting the Dodgers are fallible.
Wet boots ruining your mornings? This silent, fanless dryer gently dries boots, shoes, and gloves overnight while helping reduce damp odors, so your gear is ready when you are. Want to get the best verified deal and see full details? Visit grabdeal.us/4 right now.
I'm Levi Weaver, welcome to the Windup. Advertisement Instant Classic, Yan's celebration, Geno's history. I could have written an entire newsletter about last night's Mets-Guardians game. The Mets won 6-5, but it was the kind of game that reminds you how baseball can be beautiful and capricious in ways that make the final score almost irrelevant. By now, you've likely seen Mets pitcher Jeffrey Yan's strikeout celebration. Yes, there's only one F and one E in his name. If not, what an honor to be the one to show you. I love it. If you're a grump who can't get on board with the celebration, how about the determination? Yan missed 5 years and was out of the sport, working construction and delivery jobs before his second chance in 2021, when he was signed back into affiliated baseball by the Marlins. Yan spent 3 years in that organization, then 2024 with the Seibu Lions in Japan and 2025 with the Rockies. He signed with the Mets as a minor league free agent this past winter. 5 years after his second chance, and after the Mets traded away half their bullpen at the deadline and called up Yan, he's a big leaguer, nearly 2 weeks shy of his 30th birthday. Tim Britton has more on Yan's journey back to the big leagues. Now we have some history to get to from 22-year-old Guardians rookie Angel Geno, who was the 14th ranked player in Keith Law's top 70 prospects before his big league debut last night. Against the Mets, Geno became the 22nd player ever in MLB, since 1900, to rack up 4 hits in his debut, including a 7th-inning single to give the Guardians a 5-4 lead. After an error let the Mets score the tying run in the top of the 9th, Geno had a chance to tie Cecil Travis, Washington Nationals, 1933, for the MLB record of 5 hits in a debut. But with a runner on second, he flied out to the warning track. Advertisement after an error let the Mets score the tying run in the top of the 9th, Geno had a chance to tie Cecil Travis, Washington Nationals, 1933, for the MLB record of 5 hits in a debut. But with a runner on second, he flied out to the warning track. Here's something weird. From April 1990 through May 2010, there was only one 4-hit debut from Derek Gibson of the 1998 Colorado Rockies. Gibson finished with 14 career hits. Then in 2010, we got 2 of them, both by catchers, Wilson Ramos, Twins, and JP. None until this year when we got 2 more, both by shortstop turned third baseman. Kevin McGonigal also did it for Detroit on opening day. Anyway, the Mets squeaked by in 10 innings. Middle relief. Stick to trying to win championships today. Britt Ghiroli critiques the competitive window and says teams should try to win all the time. Here's an excerpt. Remember the 2022 Blue Jays? They were talented, full of potential, and supposed to usher in the next long competitive window of Canadian baseball. Instead, the team fired its manager in season, blew an 8-1 lead in Game 2 of the American League Wild Card Series, and got swept out of the postseason by the Mariners. Toronto went 9 years between playoff wins, from 2016 until last year's magical run to the World Series, which featured a roster very different from the one 3 years prior. Still, the 2025 Jays looked poised for sustained success and largely ran back the same group that fell just shy of the ultimate prize this year. The Jays, though, found themselves in last place at this year's trade deadline, working to balance selling and buying. Sometimes they never truly open at all, like the White Sox's last rebuild. Current GM Chris Getz, promoted to the role in 2023, orchestrated his own painful rebuild. Chicago is now somewhat surprisingly atop the AL Central, and Getz told reporters a few days ago, "I don't take any of this for granted. You can't assume that you're going to be in these positions every year. Advertisement, and yet, some front offices act as if they can. As if their sophisticated models are the only outcome and not a singular idea of a future that has thousands of potential outcomes. As if this sport isn't a volatile mix of regression, injuries, and educated guesses on human beings and their potential. On the 4th anniversary of Orioles president Mike Elias telling fans it was time for liftoff, he dealt his first #1 draft pick, catcher Adley Rutschman, to the Red Sox. Elias, whose team has yet to win a playoff game since he took over in November 2018, emphatically told reporters on a call Monday that the team wasn't rebuilding. But the Orioles, who won the AL East in 2023, were viewed by many in the industry as a potential future dynasty 3 years ago. When they were swept out of the playoffs by the eventual World Series champion Rangers, a team that spent money and aggressively tried to win, Elias said the window was just opening. One manager firing and more than 2 years of sub-500 baseball have transpired since. The rocket is still on the launch pad. I'm not saying the Orioles, who were 54-58 at the deadline, should have been buyers. The Rutschman trade was a good deal for them, with a lot of future value. But I've yet to see future value winners on a fan's t-shirt or a banner hanging to celebrate the no. Come to think of it, I don't think I've ever seen a team raise anything at the end of the season for the most wins per dollar or consecutive 85 win seasons that ended in a first-round defeat. Though those are buzzy phrases in the age of efficiency and sustainability, and whatever else front offices want fans to believe is the ultimate goal over, actual championships. Streaks, should the Dodgers be worried? Maybe it got a bit obscured in the trade deadline hullabaloo, but the Dodgers are on a 6-game losing streak, made up of back-to-back sweeps by the Red Sox and Cubs. Advertisement both the Brewers, 71-43, and Braves, 69-45, now have better records than the 69-46 Dodgers. The Rays, at 68-46, are only a half-game worse. Last year's squad suffered through a 7-game losing streak and still emerged as the champ. But it is a reminder that the Dodgers are capable of the sort of stretch that would get them eliminated in October. Fabian Ardea has more here on what's been going wrong in Dodgeland, but the two things that stick out to me are their catching situation. Will Smith has been out of action since June 6. Dalton Rushing has a partially torn UCL, and manager Dave Roberts says there's a very small chance he'll catch again this year. It's why they picked up Ben Rortvedt and Hunter Fiducia at the deadline. An old problem has reemerged. Remember last year, when the Dodgers tied for 9th most blown saves in the league at 25? They went out and got Edwin Diaz, who is back from the IL now, but hasn't looked like himself. As Fabian points out, since July 1, their 5.07 bullpen era entering play last night was tied for 7th worst in the league. If you're rooting for the downfall of the Empire, I have bad news. Smith and Blake Treinen are expected back before October. Should Tyler Glasnow, Blake Snell, and Shohei Ohtani return to full pitching health, the Dodgers could move Roki Sasaki, Eric Lauer, and maybe even all-star Justin Robelski to the bullpen. At 66-59, they replenished their decimated pitching core at the deadline, and now they've swept the presumptive World Series favorites. The Cubs' team defense is the best in the sport, with their best defender playing at an MVP-level pace. Pete Crow Armstrong went 3 for 5 with 2 more home runs yesterday, although so did his stiffest competition. Crow Armstrong now has 26 round-trippers on the season and is rocking a .938 ops. More trending, up Red Sox. After sweeping the Dodgers, they could do the same to the White Sox with a win tonight. The Red Sox, 62-51, haven't lost a series since June 29, July 1 against the Nationals, and are now only a game behind the Yankees. Down Pirates, they're 3-7 in their last 10 and haven't won a series since July 18-19 in Cleveland. Pittsburgh, 57-59, is now 4-1-2 games with 4 teams to jump out of a wild-card spot. Cleared. Judge's good news: will Aaron Judge return in time for a playoff run? He's still not close, but he's been cleared to start running outdoors and doing upper body resistance exercises, per Tyler Kepner's report. For the Yankees, the when probably isn't that important, so long as it's in time for October. Judge's last game before hitting the IL, May 31, was a win to put the Yankees at 36-23 on the year. In the 56 games since, they're 28-28. Kepner's report also says Cody Bellinger is expected to return before the end of the season. Giancarlo Stanton has also been jogging and taking live batting practice. Advertisement around the league, however, the injury news hasn't been so positive, particularly for starting pitchers. Hunter Green, Reds, elbow, hit the IL and is going to see Dr. Neil Elatrake. Joe Ryan, Twins, back and glute, isn't on the IL yet but left the team to be evaluated. Trey Yesavage, Blue Jays, knee inflammation also hit the IL. Andrew Painter, Phillies, hamstring, departed early last night. Handshakes and high fives, Atlanta needed another starter at the trade deadline. Don't tell that to Grant Holmes and the rest of the rotation. Staying in Atlanta, Evan Drellick tells us what we can learn from the Braves' annual earnings report. Most clicked in our last windup, Jim Bowden's trade deadline grades for all 30 teams. Closed mailbox with raised flag love the windup? Check out the Athletics' other newsletters.